रुखसत ए बागबान के टुक देख लें चमन, जाते हैं वहाँ जहाँ से फिर आया न जाएगा।
The past is not dead and static, it's alive and dynamic.
डॉक्टर जाकिर हुसैन के शब्द सदा हमारे कानों में गूंजते रहेंगे। अतीत मरता नहीं, जीवित रहता है, वर्तमान और भविष्य को संवारता है।
I have seen your hushed countenance in the heart of the garrulous day. You have come to write the unfinished stories of our fathers with unseen script in the pages of our destiny.
Our ancestors were Afghani Pathans who settled in Qaim.
जाकिर साहब के छोटे भाई डॉक्टर यूसुफ हुसैन खान ने कहा, हमारे पूर्वज अफरीदी पठान थे। 18वीं शताब्दी में उत्तर प्रदेश के फर्रुखाबाद जिले में कायमगंज में आकर बसे। दादा गुलाम हुसैन खान सिपाही थे। पिता फिदा हुसैन ने परंपरा तोड़ी, कानून पढ़ा, हैदराबाद में मकान बनाया, सफल वकील बने। 1897 में जाकिर हुसैन जन्मे। जब 1907 में पिता की मृत्यु हुई तो बालक जाकिर 10 वर्ष के थे। माँ हम लोगों को लेकर कायमगंज के पैतृक मकान में रहने लगी। 1908 में जाकिर हुसैन को इटावा के रेजिडेंशियल स्कूल में भेजा गया। हेडमास्टर सैयद अल्ताफ हुसैन कट्टर राष्ट्रवादी थे और जाकिर उनके प्रिय छात्र। 1913 में जाकिर हुसैन मैट्रिक पास कर मोहम्मदन एंग्लो ओरिएंटल कॉलेज में दाखिल हुए, जो बाद में अलीगढ़ विश्वविद्यालय बना।
आती है बाग से जो सबा, पूछता हूँ मैं कितने शगुफे आए हैं किस किस निहाल में।
जाकिर साहब and I became friends in 1900.
प्रोफेसर रशीद अहमद सिद्दीकी उनके कॉलेज के दोस्त। जाकिर साहब क्लास से गायब रहते मगर नतीजा हमेशा बढ़िया रहता। असल में वे लिटिल लाइब्रेरी और छात्र यूनियन में ज्यादा दिलचस्पी लेते थे। वे चलते फिरते ज्ञान कोश थे। 1918 में उन्होंने बीए किया।
In 1918 he passed BA with distinction.
In 1920
डॉक्टर के हमीद 1920 में महात्मा गांधी ने लोगों से अपील की, अंग्रेज सरकार की मदद से चलने वाली संस्थाओं का बहिष्कार करो। जाकिर साहब ने अलीगढ़ विश्वविद्यालय छोड़ दिया। 1000 छात्र भी उनके साथ हो लिए। डॉक्टर अंसारी, हकीम अजमल खां, अली बंधु ने A.N. ख्वाजा और महात्मा गांधी की मदद से 1920 में जामिया मिलिया की स्थापना की अलीगढ़ में। हम दोनों शिक्षक की हैसियत से दाखिल हुए।
Mahatma Gandhi founded the National University under the name of Jamia Millia Islamia at Aligarh in 1920, when we both had joined this Jamia Millia as teachers.
Though I also hail from Hyderabad, yet I came in...
मीर अकबर अली खां जामी मिलिया में दाखिल होने वाले प्रथम छात्रों में से थे।
to join Jamia under the leadership of Dr. Zakir Hussain.
In 1923,
डॉक्टर के हमीद ने बताया, 1923 में असहयोग आंदोलन बंद होने पर जाकिर साहब उच्च शिक्षा के लिए जर्मनी गए। बाद में डॉक्टर हमीद भी जर्मनी पहुंच गए, जहां उन्होंने सुश्री लूबा से शादी की। श्रीमती लूबा हमीद बर्लिन यूनिवर्सिटी के बहुत से प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर जाकिर के दोस्त बन गए। डॉक्टर साहब बड़े खूबसूरत थे, फ्रेंच दाढ़ी उन पर बड़ी फपती। जर्मन दोस्त उन्हें जीसस कहते।
And his French beard gave him a dignified appearance. Among the German friends, he became known as Jesus.
Dr. Zakir Hussain obtained his PhD degree.
1926 में जाकिर साहब इकोनॉमिक्स में पीएचडी करके भारत लौटे।
Here, Professor Mujib.
It was in Germany that Dr. Zakir Hussain...
प्रोफेसर एम मुजीब ने बताया, जर्मनी में ही जाकिर साहब का जीवन दर्शन उभरा। प्लास्टिक कला, चित्रकारी, नाटक और संगीत में वे रुचि लेने लगे। जर्मनी में उन्हें पता लगा कि जामिया मिलिया के संस्थापक धनाभाव के कारण संस्था बंद करने की सोच रहे हैं। उन्होंने केवल भेजा, हम लोगों के आने तक रुको। गांधी जी के कहने पर संस्था अलीगढ़ से दिल्ली लाई गई।
it should not be closed. The closure was stayed and the institution was moved from Aligarh to Delhi at the instance of Gandhi ji. Dr. Zakir Hussain
29 वर्ष की आयु में डॉक्टर जाकिर हुसैन जामिया मिलिया के उप कुलपति बने।
All worthwhile work is commitment and
किसी भी महत्वपूर्ण काम को समर्पण और लगन से करना चाहिए। शिक्षकों पर बड़ी जिम्मेदारी है। लेकिन सबसे जरूरी है लोगों में ज्ञान पिपासा का होना।
But the Jamia Millia was without funds, without support from any of the Indian.
जामिया मिलिया के पास धनाभाव था। जाकिर साहब 100 रुपए से भी कम लेते। 1935 में जाकिर हुसैन का नाम लेखक और वक्ता के रूप में चमका। उनकी प्रतिभा बाल कहानियों में चमक उठी।
Which was reduced to 100 and even less in case of Dr. Zakir Hussain. By 1935, Dr. Zakir Hussain had earned national eminence as a writer and a speaker. However, Dr. Zakir Hussain's most original and delightful writing is to be found in his stories for children. In 1937, Gandhi ji invited
1937 में गांधी जी के निमंत्रण पर जाकिर साहब ने राष्ट्रीय बुनियादी शिक्षा समिति की अध्यक्षता की। प्रोफेसर के.जी. सईदेन भी उस समिति के सदस्य थे।
Professor Sayyidin
had the high privilege.
प्रोफेसर सईदेन ने कहा, जाकिर साहब माने हुए शिक्षाविद थे। जामिया में उन्होंने कला के माध्यम से बच्चों को पढ़ाने की शुरुआत की।
It was in the Jamia that he experimented with the idea of productive work as the basis of all education, that he introduced activity methods of teaching, that he regarded art as an essential part of education.
a small kindergarten.
वे कहा करते, छोटा सा किंडरगार्टन एक बड़े सेकेंडरी स्कूल से कहीं बेहतर है। एक अच्छा सेकेंडरी स्कूल एक खराब कॉलेज से कहीं अच्छा है। प्रोफेसर मुजीब ने बताया, 1946 में जामिया मिलिया की रजत जयंती मनाई गई। उस वर्ष सांप्रदायिक दंगे हो गए। उस अवसर पर जाकिर साहब ने सब पार्टियों की बुनियादी एकता का आदर्श प्रस्तुत किया। वे एक ही प्लेटफॉर्म पर बड़े बड़े नेताओं को लाए।
राजगोपालाचारी, मौलाना आजाद, मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना, his sister Fatima Jinnah and Liaqat Ali Khan on the same platform.
I do feel I am a symbol of secularism because I
जाकिर साहब धर्मनिरपेक्षवादी थे।
I am also an Indian every inch of me. I have never found any difficulty in reconciling the two. I am not the one first and the word second. I am both Indian and Muslim simultaneously.
Early in 1948, Zakir Sahab.
प्रोफेसर रशीद अहमद सिद्दीकी 1948 में जाकिर साहब अलीगढ़ विश्वविद्यालय लौटे।
Aligarh had been a storm center of separatist.
जाकिर साहब के आ जाने से अलीगढ़ विश्वविद्यालय को फिर प्रतिष्ठा मिली।
Migrated to Pakistan. But Zakir Sahab's alma mater had to yield to his zeal and quickly recovered the power and prestige that it had lost. Dr. Zakir Hussain remained.
कर्नल जैदी ने बताया, 1956 तक जाकिर साहब वाइस चांसलर थे। बीच में 1952 में वे राज्यसभा के सदस्य मनोनीत किए गए।
A member of the Rajya Sabha.
In 1956,
बेगम सईदा खान उनकी बड़ी लड़की।
he showered all his love and affection on my sister Safiya and me. Ours was the most happy and a close.
बेगम सफिया रहमान छोटी लड़की।
My mother as an equal. Our children found a wonderful companion.
My whole life has been spent
पूरी जिंदगी बच्चों और शिक्षकों के साथ बीती।
most of my life, and I still maintain that I have done nothing in my life more important than the work of a teacher.
To me, my father-in-law,
श्री खुर्शीद आलम खान, उनके दामाद,
Sufi, he looked defeated when he had won.
Father-in-law, member of the
डॉक्टर रहमान, उनके छोटे दामाद,
was informed about Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's decision to appoint him as Governor of Bihar.
I met Dr. Zakir Hussain when I was Commissioner of Patna.
श्री सोहनी ने कहा, डॉक्टर साहब ज्यादा समय खुदा बख्श लाइब्रेरी में बिताते थे.
Were counted by him among the most precious ones that he had in Bihar. Many times he would chuckle and recall Khuda Baksh Khan's idea of blind people. They were blind who could manage to get good books and yet happened to return them to their former owners.
Dr. Zakir Hussain became Vice President of India in 1962.
श्री गुजराल, 1962 में जाकिर साहब उपराष्ट्रपति बने. वे अक्सर हमारे घर आते, मेरे भाई के चित्र देखते. नेहरू जी की सिफारिश पर उन्हें भारत रत्न प्रदान किया गया.
And when they were watching their procession in Connaught Circus, Dr. Zakir Hussain was also there. It was there that my brother Satish and myself met him for the first time. Those days I was looking after the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. Jawaharlal Nehru's recommendation resulted in conferment of Bharat Ratna on him.
I was introduced to him.
श्रीमती तारकेश्वरी सिन्हा, जाकिर साहब ने राज्यसभा में कभी कटुता नहीं आने दी.
In Rajya Sabha, 0 hour invariably used to be followed by heated exchanges among members. And it was because of Dr. Zakir Hussain's sensitive supervision that the 0 hour did not end in bitterness and rancor.
The opposition parties did oppose Dr.
श्री अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी, विरोधी पार्टियों ने राष्ट्रपति चुनाव में जाकिर साहब का विरोध किया, लेकिन व्यक्तिगत दुश्मनी नहीं थी.
It was a clash of principles.
I maintain that education is the prime instrument of national purpose.
डॉक्टर जाकिर हुसैन ने कहा, धर्म और भाषा के बावजूद मैं देश के प्रति वफादार रहूंगा. भारत मेरा घर है और उसके लोग मेरा परिवार.
I pledge myself to work for its strength and progress. The whole of Bharat is my home and the people are my family.
कहा मैंने कितना है गुल का सबात, कली ने सुनकर तबस्सुम किया.
After becoming the president, Mia, my grandfather, and Amma, my grandmother, moved.
श्रीमती नीलोफर और श्रीमती रेहाना, उनकी नातिने. नाना जी को बागबानी का बड़ा शौक था. रोज सोसाइटी ने एक गुलाब का नाम जाकिर हुसैन गुलाब रखा. मशहूर चंडीगढ़ गुलाब बाग भी उनके नाम पर है.
1,500 fossils, rocks and minerals, and a collection of paintings, Persian calligraphy pieces, and of course a lot of books. Many of the varieties of roses in the Mughal gardens at Rashtrapati Bhavan were introduced by Mia. Showgirl, Fragrant Cloud, Irish Wonder, and African Star. They had wonderful names. The Rose Society of India has named a new variety of rose as the Dr. Zakir Hussain rose. They've also named the famous rose garden at Chandigarh after him, as Zakir Hussain Garden.
पत्ता पत्ता बूटा बूटा हाल हमारा जाने है, जाने न जाने गुल ही न जाने बाप तो सारा जाने है. हजारों साल नरगिस अपनी बेनूरी पे रोती है, बड़ी मुश्किल से होता है चमन में दीदावर पैदा.
I met Zakir Hussain Sahab for the first time in 1951.
मशहूर चित्रकार श्री हुसैन.
Within an hour, which hangs now in Rashtrapati Bhavan.
The heart yearns for something.
दिल को इससे भी बढ़कर खूबसूरती की तलाश है. जर्रे जर्रे में, चांद सितारों में उसे ढूंढता हूँ.
I have had the unique privilege of being associated.
डॉक्टर नगेंद्र सिंह, मैं राष्ट्रपति का सचिव था। वे हर किसी से बड़ी विनम्रता से मिलते, वे बड़े उदार दिल थे।
So to all, whether the rich or the poor, and whether he was in India or abroad, as well as the large-hearted approaches that he invariably always made, he fully symbolized the composite culture of India. As personal secretary to the President,
राष्ट्रपति के निजी सचिव श्री सहाय ने कहा, शुक्रवार को मैंने उन्हें किताब पढ़ते देखा।
on Friday, May 2, I observed him reading a book till late into the night.
शनिचर की सुबह हस्बे मामूल उठे, नमाज पढ़कर एक गिलास दूध पिया। 11:15 बजे गुसलखाने में तशरीफ ले गए। वहां जब देर हो गई तो मैंने उनको परेशान होकर के खटका किया। वहां से कोई आवाज नहीं आई तो मैंने एक चाबी के सुराख में उनको झांक करके देखा तो वहां पे कुछ उनका नजर नहीं आए। तो मैं परेशान हुआ और फिर सबसे मैंने कह करके फौरन ही दूसरा दरवाजा खोला और खोलने के बाद देखा कि मेरा आका जाकिर साहब पड़े हुए थे, नीचे पड़े हुए थे।
या अल्लाह,
साहिबे तख्त गए, मुफलिस मोहताज गए, हम भी जाने ही को थे, कल न गए आज गए।
The king died. Fakir also died. I am also to die. But instead of dying tomorrow, I died today.
I would like to repeat.
राष्ट्रपति श्री गिरी ने कहा, आज भी मुझे उनके शब्द याद हैं, भारत मेरा घर है और उसके लोग मेरा परिवार।
And his people are my family.
हासिले हुस्नो इश्क बस इतना, आदमी आदमी को पहचाने।
The ultimate objective of
डॉक्टर जाकिर हुसैन का विश्वास था, शिक्षा में क्रांति लाने से सांस्कृतिक, आर्थिक और सामाजिक परिवर्तन तेजी से होंगे।
Ensuring minimum income to each family, in implementing it, we can have no greater ally than education. What we need most urgently, therefore, is a revolution in education, which can trigger off the revolution we need.
डॉक्टर जाकिर हुसैन विद्वान राजनेता, महान मानवतावादी, शिक्षा शास्त्री। शिक्षा प्रणाली को नई दिशा देने के लिए डॉक्टर जाकिर हुसैन ने जामिया मिल्लिया इस्लामिया की स्थापना की। वे 20 वर्ष तक उसके उपकुलपति रहे। उन्नीस 1962 में आप भारत के उपराष्ट्रपति निर्वाचित किए गए। उन्नीस 1963 में आपको देश के सर्वोच्च सम्मान भारत रत्न की उपाधि से सम्मानित किया गया। आपने एशिया और अफ्रीका का दौरा किया, मित्रता के बंधन मजबूत किए। वे आस्थावान धार्मिक पुरुष थे। आम जनता के दुख दर्द जानने के लिए आपने सारे देश का दौरा किया। सड़सठ में राष्ट्रपति का चुनाव हुआ। डॉक्टर जाकिर हुसैन चुने गए। 13 मई को उन्होंने राष्ट्रपति पद की शपथ ग्रहण की।
I, Zakir Hussain, do swear in the name of God, that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of India, I must confess that I am overwhelmed by the trust my people have placed in me by electing me to the highest office in the land. I can only assure you that I enter that office in a spirit of prayerful humility and total dedication. I pledge myself to the service of the totality of my country's culture. I pledge my loyalty to my country irrespective of region or language. I pledge myself to work for its strength and progress and for the welfare of its people without distinction of caste, color or creed. The whole of Bharat is my home and the people are my family.
वे महात्मा गांधी के अनन्य भक्त थे। वे जनता के सच्चे सेवक थे। शिक्षा में उनकी विशेष रुचि थी। उन्होंने दूर दराज देशों की यात्रा की, पूर्व पश्चिम की दूरियां मिटाई। ताशकंद की एक मर्मस्पर्शी याद। अफगानिस्तान में पुराने सहयोगी आजादी के महान योद्धा खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खां से मुलाकात। आपने राष्ट्रपति पद को बड़ी लगन और योग्यता से संभाला। अप्रैल 1969 को देश की पूर्वी सीमाओं का दौरा किया। एक सप्ताह बाद 3 मई को आपका देहांत हो गया। आपका जीवन इस आदर्श का ज्वलंत प्रतीक था। जीवन में सबसे बड़ी संतोष की बात है अपने देश बंधुओं की सेवा।
The states that are now usually called the Colombo states have also proclaimed their support, so that from now on we should hope to see in Asia the vindication of what has been called the collective peace system, that is to say, peace alliances in place of military alliances, where the area of peace will be extended and our ancient continent will be able to devote its energies to the construction of the hinterlands and the contribution on their contribution to civilization.
There seems no doubt that the march on Goa was relatively bloodless, but how does this square up with India's traditional aspirations towards non-aggression and non-violence, which you recently reiterated at UN?
Oh yes, I reiterate now, our policy hasn't changed. And what I'm saying, that the aggression is on the other side. As I told you, a colony is a permanent aggression.
The Malabar coast, the land where Vasco da Gama set foot in the 15th century. The first instance of a Western colonial power's march into India. A historical coincidence, perhaps. V.K. Krishna-Menon, who believed colonialism to be the worst form of aggression, was born here in Malabar. In May 1896, Appa, as a young Krishna-Menon was called by his family, was born into a well-known, prosperous home at Panniyankara, near Calicut. His mother, Lakshmi Kuti Amma, was a proud woman, Sanskrit scholar and musician. Krishna was the third child with 6 sisters and a brother. The Malabar coast was home to the matrilineal family system, and Krishna Menon's family was a part of it. His father, Komat Krishna Kurup, was a descendant of the Kadathanad royal family, whose authority extended over a large territory north of Calicut. Krishna Kurup, a brilliant scholar and avowed atheist, was a leading lawyer at the Tellicherry bar. As a frail and lonesome child, possessing an innate pertinacity and stubbornness, Krishna Menon spent most of his childhood around Panniyankara and Tellicherry. Shankara Menon, a cousin, speaks.
Krishna Menon was at school first in Tellicherry in northern Kerala, where his father was a practicing lawyer. A school, I think, attached to the Brennan College, as it is called now. And from there he came to Calicut and was in the native high school, as it was called then, now called the Ganpat High School. And he was still in the native high school, probably in his 5th form or 6th form, when I joined the school in the 3rd standard. I was a little fellow, and he was just about to leave the school. From the native high school, after he passed the SSLC, he went to the Zamorins College in Calicut. And there he completed his intermediate examination and came on to Madras and joined the Presidency College here in Madras. And after he passed his BA in the Presidency College, he went over to the Law College, which he did not treat very seriously, because by then he was involved in the Home Rule League and was thoroughly political in his activity. One other very important activity he espoused, and that was scouting. He was a very enthusiastic scout and was a commissioner of sorts. I don't know whether he was a provincial commissioner or a district commissioner, I have no memory now. But he was living at that time in the Theosophical Society in Adyar. He was an enthusiastic member of the society and was secretary to Dr. George Arundel, who became the president of the society after Annie Besant died. And at that time, much of his activity was in Madras, in the city of Madras. And he used to journey between the Theosophical Society in Madras always on a ramshackle bicycle. And he was to be seen in all corners of Madras, and people used to make fun of him, saying that his address was V.K. Krishna Menon, Bicycle, Madras. And he also subsisted on very little food. He used to take enormous amounts of tea, and that is what he subsisted on. And I don't know whether even the tea gave him much life, because he took it with very little milk in it.
Annie Besant and George Arundel decided to send him to England to undergo training as a teacher. In June 1924, the young Menon accompanied Dr. Arundel to England, where he was to lead a life of intense social and political activity for 3 decades. Krishna Menon arrived in England during the Depression, eager to comprehend the new culture and people that now enveloped him. He started teaching at St. Christopher's School at Leckworth. Apart from this, he also joined the London School of Economics as a student of political science. He had a BSc in economics, a master's in industrial psychology, an MSc for his research on 17th century political thought, and a diploma in education. At the LSE, Krishna Menon found a great friend and teacher, Harold Laski, the Fabian socialist. Professor Laski considered the young Menon the best student he'd had. Soon Menon was gravitating towards the Labour Party and socialism. Joining the party, he was made its parliamentary candidate. Invited by Bodley Head to work as an editor, he, along with Alan Ling, founded Penguin Books, which revolutionized book marketing through low-priced paperbacks within the reach of the common man. Hyde Park often witnessed Menon's powerful and evocative speeches, pleading for civil liberties and rights of the oppressed people of the world. For 2 decades, Menon was secretary of the India League and its president from 1947. He was widely known as the Indian National Congress's unofficial spokesman outside India. Krishna Menon knew Bertrand Russell, Stafford Cripps, Clement Attlee, and a host of British MPs, all of whom were drawn into his campaign for the India League, which grew in vigor each year. Jawaharlal Nehru, visiting England, met Menon, already well known as a champion of India's cause in Britain. Jawaharlal, discovering a mind that had much in common with his own, struck an ideological and political kinship with the tough, vitriolic Krishna. In 1931, when Mahatma Gandhi went to England for the Round Table Conference, Krishna Menon was his guide, introducing him to members of the Labour Party and the English working class.
Sovereign democratic republic, and the Union and its component units, the state, shall exercise all powers and functions of government and administration.
Menon's large wealth of contacts in England and his incisive knowledge of the British mind played a key part during the transfer of power negotiations. For the same reasons, he was officially appointed Free India's first High Commissioner to Britain. Krishna Menon's association with the UN is today part of political legend, as one of the most dynamic diplomats the UN has seen, as the man who spoke for 6 hours, convincing the world that the accession of Kashmir is complete and irrevocable.
Or the past relations of Britain with India, or stories about the relations of other countries, with regard to the military alliances, all these things are great acts of danger. We have no right except to plead because we are not members of this council. We cannot give you counsel. You have asked us to express our opinions. And our opinion is that this is a step fraught with danger.
That you woke up to this only at 16. You didn't wake up to it for 15, 14 years. Recently and for 15 years.
Krishna Menon's stature as India's roving ambassador, as a man instrumental in shaping India's foreign policy, as an articulate political thinker, grew in the coming years.
I'm surprised that you as an Englishman, probably Scotsman, should turn round and ask. But once you hit your merchant ships, there's something to be said for it. Mr. Adler Stevens.
As Nehru's special envoy, he met many world leaders.
I hope he didn't say it. But if he said it, it is unfortunate. All I can say is I greater say.
In 1956, Menon finally came to Delhi and joined the Union cabinet, first as minister without portfolio, and then as minister for defense.
When the world would have to give up armies, the world would have to give up military establishment, and internal order and international security would have been maintained by small forces of international police, which are largely manned by citizens. The territorial army was then emerged into a great peace force, and no country, more than ours, would just make a great appeal. So in the days to come, when with the wisdom of man keeps pace with his technical ability, we have a world without war, where war is outlawed as an instrument for settling disputes between nations, and the needs of internal security on the one hand, and international security as against law-breaking nations, he is looked after by contingents of police in a disarmed world. Then the territorials step into their own. Now, in conclusion, therefore, I would make an appeal to my country.
The Western press called Menon India's tea-fed tiger. He was always a controversial man, of awesome energy, sharp wit, immense political courage. He was stubborn, impatient, and fiercely forthright by nature. This won him as many enemies as admirers, in and outside the government. After the war with China in 1962, Krishna Menon resigned from the Union cabinet. Two years later, he lost his great friend and support, Jawaharlal Nehru. P.N. Haksar, a close associate of both Nehru and Menon, speaks.
The personalities of each, characteristics of each, but by putting them in the context of history of that time. It is the common participation through the historical processes of the 20s, the 30s, the 40s of this century that Jawaharlal Nehru and Krishna Menon developed a unique relationship, and the uniqueness lay that each one with differing temperaments and ways even of looking at things, yet they are close to each other. In a remarkable era of our country, when Mahatma Gandhi generated vast upheaval in the minds and hearts of Indian people, and that upheaval was seen both by Krishna Menon and Nehru as part and parcel of the wider phenomenon of the world. This is what brought them together in terms of shared worldview, that Indian national movement was not inward looking, but was vitally connected, that what humanity in this century has been increasingly asserting itself to achieve.
After his resignation, Menon slipped into comparative obscurity. He was never a popular man with the ordinary politicians, and in 1967 he left party politics. Apart from practicing as a senior lawyer at the Supreme Court, he was active in setting up the Indian Society of International Law and Diplomacy and presiding over several world movements for peace and solidarity. A man who never married, he loved buying toys and playing with children. In October 1974, Krishna Menon died at the age of 78. The world remembered. The London papers wrote long and moving obituaries. Reacting to Menon's death, Mrs. Indira Gandhi said, "A volcano is extinct."